the beginning of the 21st century, the Umbrella Corporation had become the largest commercial entity in the United States. 9 out of every 10 homes contain its products. Its political and financial influence is felt everywhere. In public, it is the world's leading supplier of computer technology, medical products, and healthcare. Unknown even to its own employees, its massive profits are generated by military technology, genetic experimentation, and viral weaponry.
Games, Brrraains A Head-Banging Life here with They Made What into a Movie. You've seen the title. We had to come to the first of this long-running series eventually. Let's start it now. It is, of course, 2002's adaptation of Resident Evil, a movie that when was first announced, I was so stoked. Do you remember how you felt when you first heard about this movie?
Oh yeah.
So excited, right?
I thought this could be fantastic. If it's anything like the games, it's going to be fantastic.
But here's the thing. It is a good movie still. It actually is still a good movie that does a lot right. The problem is watching it and pretending you don't know what the franchise would become, this movie franchise, is difficult. So trying to watch this in a bubble and seeing that, oh my God, it has horror elements, it does a lot right, it's got a lot of good sequences, and ignoring a lot of what happens with the sequels is hard because I think there are good films in the sequels, but there are also a lot of shit. And there's the problem in itself, trying to watch this in a bubble.
Yeah, I mean, I think that older movies, I mean, like the 25 Resident Evil movies or however many there is.
6 or 7?
Yeah, 6 or 7. I think they all at some point have good points, and they do follow a bit of the story in some of them.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the overarching story, well, let's say now, the overarching story is really about a character, not like the character of Alice, played by, obviously, Mila Jovovich, who is wonderful. It's Mila Jovovich. I love Mila Jovovich. She's done my favorite work. I mean, I adore The Fifth Element. And Mila Jovovich is absolutely wonderful in that. I've seen her. She's a great actor.
Yeah. I mean,
she's great in this.
Yeah, don't go. She's brilliant. But the only thing that I didn't like is the fact that her character, Alice, has nothing to do with Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This takes massive liberties with the source content. It does. And that itself is a major problem. And the movie franchise will differ so far from the games while also trying to shoehorn in game stuff that it's not really that enjoyable. However, I always accept that this is an adaptation. You've got to take some liberties. And there is a lot of good stuff in this from the games. We'll get to that, I guess. So, 2002 action horror film, written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who is responsible for many big movies. He's also the husband of Mila Jovovich. They have children together. However, I'm not sure if they were together and married at this point.
That's what I love to tell you, because I thought, oh yeah, that's how she got the job. But no, I think they got married in like 2004 or something like that.
Right, so they might have met on the set of this then, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, he does cast his wife in a lot of things. However, I don't see a problem with that at all. And I don't think it's because they're married. I think it's because she's a talented, and that's not alone. Yeah. Look at Rob Zombie. He cast Sherry Moon Zombie in a lot of his movies and stuff like that. It's probably cost effective. Like, it sounds silly, but like, it's probably more fun as well to work with your partner. Like, it probably is.
For starters, he got to pay her a high wage for starters. That's one thing. Okay.
Do you reckon?
Well, I mean,
it's possible, cost-effective wise, it might be cheaper and easier. But not only that, I actually think there probably is a lot of trust things going on as well. And here's the thing: like Mila Jovovich, a character was established here. If the plan was always to use her throughout the next movies, she was always going to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of presumptions, and I actually just think it doesn't really fucking matter because it's. What do we remember when we think of the Resident Evil franchise, the movie franchise? What do you think of? You think of Alice and Mila Jovovich. So she's made impact, right?
yeah. Well, like I said, she is a good actress,
Mm,
and she plays the part well. So she clearly deserved the role.
absolutely. No question. No question. In addition, it also stars Michelle Rodriguez, Eric Mabius, James Purfoy, Martin Cruz, and Colin Salmon. There are many other actors, but these are the names that matter the most. These are the ones that are either there to the end, have the longest screen time and stuff like that. Obviously, first installment of the Resident Evil film franchise, loosely based on the video game series of the same name. It was followed by, I said 6 or 7, not 5 sequels. Resident Evil Apocalypse, 2004. Resident Evil Extinction, 2007. Resident Evil Afterlife, 2010. Resident Evil Retribution, 2012. And Resident Evil The Final Chapter, 2016. And of course, it is no secret that Netflix are currently working on several adaptions that are said to be truer to the original games, which could be very interesting. We shall see.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
The movie begins with voiceover and text, and that pissed me off straight away. One or the other. If you're going to put text up, I can read. Or just do voiceover. It's the voiceover reading what the text is annoys me because I'm read it and the voice is still nabbering on. Do you know who the voice of that is?
Do you know, it sounds so familiar.
Right. Okay, let's see if we can get you down that path. He is a famous actor. His first name is Jason. You might know him best from the Harry Potter franchise, where he plays a bad wizard with long blonde hair. Jason Isaacs, he plays Lucius Malfoy.
Oh, wow, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I've got to go watch that again and listen to his voice because he's a fantastic actor, and to get his voice is brilliant. To get his voice,
he's got a very smooth and rich British voice. It's a very good voice for it.
Wow.
So we get background information about Umbrella, a pharmaceutical company that has become the biggest commercial enterprise in the US of A. But a voiceover also explains the front of Umbrella that spells out that their money actually comes from military tech, secret genetic experimentation, and viral weaponry. You're getting a lot of Umbrella information in text and voiceover. I don't really mind it. We need to get this shit out of the way, don't we? So just get it said and get it done.
They got to explain it, yeah.
We then get the title of Resident Evil, and eerie music kicks in, as I love this shot, the pinpoint shot. So we're talking about a very small center of your screen as we slowly move in to reveal what it is. And it shows a man in a radiation suit putting vials of an unknown liquid into a case. You can tell this stuff is dangerous because not only is he in a radiation suit, he's also using robotic arms to move it in a sealed container, meaning it's like, oh, you don't want to breach this stuff. The vials, we have 2. One is green and one is blue. Quite important, that.
Mm-hmm.
We see the man closing the case. He zips in a duffel bag, and then we see him throw one of the blue vials, which smashes against a desk. As it smashes, the man seals up the door and is gone. The mystery of who he is will be revealed later. Or she. I'm saying here it could be a she. Whoops, I'm kind of giving the game away there a little bit, haven't I? It was obviously a dude. We then see the contents of this vial getting absorbed into the air conditioning. And I must say, I'm loving this. I'm like, this is a great start. You're laying it out very easily and clear to see. You don't have to know anything about Resident Evil to know that what was in that liquid is bad news, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We then go out of another event to see Umbrella employees going about their business. We're in an office space, effectively. There's a, excuse me, there's a scene where one employee gets bumped into by a man rushing past. This appears to be the same man who had the duffel bag. This guy gets coffee spilt over him. He gets into a lift with another group, with a woman. They sort of talk about the rudeness of the guy. It seems like it should be important, but it's not. Do you notice that? We then cut to where caged dogs sense danger in the air, and they're starting to go a bit nuts. You can feel the tension, right?
Yeah, I mean, the dogs can smell certain smells in the air, so they can smell gas and stuff like that. So they can smell that there's
something's going on.
Yeah,
something bad's happening. We then get this perspective from a security camera that is scanning the original room and sees and focuses in on the smashed vial. We get a lot of these camera security shots. It's because it's from the main computer. Yep. I actually like these shots because they've always got a lot of information written on them, which is quite clever. On the side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it shows how advanced this computer is. Biohazard warning. Boom. Comes up. And the place goes into instant lockdown. Doors are sealed. Lifts stop moving. Sprinklers are set off in the lab compartments. And then the power cuts. It is such, honestly, the beginning of this movie is, you're like, fuck me, something bad is going down.
Exactly.
Obviously, the employees, well, not panicking, they're a little concerned. The computer we see is monitoring all of this. It's very clear that this computer had a task, which was when something has been breached, containment is what starts.
Yep.
But a couple of scientists in a lab that's beginning to flood effectively the sprinklers. And the guy says, I love this scene because it builds up the thing. He's like, this water isn't going anywhere. And it's like, oh shit. And you're like, oh God, oh my God. I mean, of course, they're in a sealed lab. That room's just going to fill. And he grabs a fucking axe and he swings it against the glass. And this wonderful shot of just a small part of it smashes out. And that's the trigger for the computer to go, containment being breached. What's obviously the next stage? Kill them all.
Yep, exactly.
Stop it. Even as I'm saying, I'm like, this is such an exciting start.
Yeah, exactly.
Termination. It gasses everybody. Like, it just wipes out everybody. Something that kills them very quickly. It's quite harrowing, the way everyone's just collapsing and dying on the floor.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Fucking hell. Yeah, and the thing is, like, because you kind of know that what the biohazard would mean, and being Resident Evil fans, we know what it means. Mm-hmm. I understand the computers and why it's doing what it's doing, but it's still like, whoa, it's full on, you know? But there are a group who don't get gassed, who do survive, and it's the ones in the lift. They pry the doors open, and there's a small gap between the landing, so they're able to see the people have all been killed and are lying on the floor. They realize they've got to get out of there, especially when they hear one of the other lifts brakes failing and it collapsing. The woman that was in the lift, she's quite small. She thinks she can squeeze through this gap. Honestly, the gap's so small, I don't know how she thought she could get through that fucking gap.
I know, exactly.
But the computer obviously is not happy. And as she gets through the gap, the brakes sort of fail. And you get kind of a really close call where it's dropping, but it stops just before her head hits the lower landing. Oh, nice little fake out. Obviously, she's panicking. Pull me back in, pull me back in. But before she's pulled back in, the computer switches the lift to zoom up instead. And the last shot is this woman's head going straight up towards the top. You know what's going to happen. We cut before she's decapitated.
Yep.
Class opening. Love it. It's very quick. It's all done in about five minutes. Mm-hmm. And you get a ton, and you're quickly brought into this story.
I mean, it also shows you that the computer, as smart as the computer is, it didn't figure out the fact that it shows you that Umbrella didn't know what this virus actually did, because the fact that by killing them all, she actually sped up the process by turning them into zombies.
There is there's a lot of things you can, also, like, you can tell Umbrella never considered the idea of the human part of a lockdown. No. Turning sprinklers on in labs, that's a bit stupid, wasn't it? There you go. we then cut to what will be a famous franchise start of an eye opening. Like an eye, obviously famous for the Resident Evil, as the eye opens and the iris becomes more wide. This is Alice, played by Mila Jovovich, as she wakes up naked in the shower. We've all seen Mila naked over the years, if you've watched most of her movies. Whatever happened, she collapsed in the shower. And I love her acting here, because immediately, with no dialogue, you can tell she doesn't know where she is or who she is. She looks she looks in the mirror and she gets a brief flash of collapsing in the shower. It looks like some gas pumped through a vent and knocked her out cold. But like I said, through her reactions and actions in that one bathroom, you can tell, oh, okay, she's suffering from some form of amnesia. She throws on a gown and she goes to look around, finding a red dress on a bed. She looks outside, sees that wherever she is, there's a lot of wood around. She then sees a note that says, "Today all your dreams come true." And I love this little touch. She starts to write the same words to see if the handwriting matches.
Yeah, it's very clever, very clever.
Yeah, so it proves, she doesn't have a memory. She's checking to see if she wrote that note to herself. The handwriting is very obviously different. So she didn't write it to herself. It came from someone else. Love it. Very cleverly done. No dialogue. None of this. She's not like, imagine she'd been like, "Oh, I can't remember anything." You'd have been like, "That was terrible."
Who am I?
Yeah. Who am I? Yeah. She continues to look around, finds a drawer full of advanced weaponry, and then she puts the red dress on and continues to explore what is a mansion. Clearly, a mansion. We also see she's being monitored by the computer. Inside a big, stately room, she finds a picture of herself with a man on her wedding day. Huh. She then thinks she sees something behind her and goes to look. This is very horror-like. The wind, the blowing, the quietness, not much music. It's got a horror feel. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the leaves blowing in the wind too, through the open window.
That's right. She goes to look outside, and when she's outside, she disturbs a ton of crows that take off into the trees. Did you notice, or did you know, that crow scene, CGI?
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow, I just thought they were real.
Yeah, impressive, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Seemingly alone, she gets freaked out by building wind. Like this wind builds up and all the leaves swirl around her. So she runs back in and is grabbed by another man who's in a suit. But before they can say everything, it all kicks off. A flashbang is thrown in and a group of heavily armored umbrella operatives burst through the windows. We know this because they're dressed in black and they have the umbrella symbol on them. And if you've ever played a Resident Evil game, they remind you of people like Hunk and that lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love this. The music kicks in and it's so fast paced. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Which is exactly, if you were operatives, you'd be doing this way because it disorientates your targets.
Mm-hmm.
The man who grabbed Alice, the man in a suit, he claims he's a cop when he's put down and handcuffed, while Alice is grabbed and told to give her report. The guy just says, report. But she doesn't know what he's talking about. Another operative confirms the house defense system was activated. And it seems that this activation of this defense system is why she can't remember who she is. What is. But again, I really liked it. It's like, oh, okay, so she's involved. Clearly involved. Another operative checks the ID of the cop, whose name is Matt, played by Eric Mabius. It looks to be fake, but when they check on the computer, they can't find any sign of him. But he claims he's brand new, so not on file, which I did smile at because clearly that is a little wink to a new cop that might exist in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, it was clever.
The operatives all start to take their masks off for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why.
Yeah, that part I didn't understand because I mean, They want to keep that. I mean, Umbrella's a secret corporation. You want to keep your identity secret.
Not only that, I also think like perhaps you don't know if there's gas or anything like that, particularly when going into what we will be calling in a bit the hive.
Yeah,
but regardless, we need to see some faces, and we do have some big actors here. We'll get into their names in a bit. They take Matt and Alice to the place they call the hive, which we just mentioned. A set of secret stairs, very cleverly hidden behind glass windows. Glass windows. And it leads to a train. The train looked familiar, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually modeled on the train from Resident Evil 2.
Oh, wow. Yeah, cool.
It is. We then see them set up a timer at the door that starts to count down. That will become important later on. Inside the train, they're trying to restore power. We start to get different personalities of operatives. First, we focus on Rain, played by Michelle Rodriguez. Now, love the character, love Michelle Rodriguez. However, my one criticism of Michelle Rodriguez is that she often plays the same character in whatever she does, which is, I'm badass, don't fuck with me. She's very good at it, But when you've watched a lot of Michelle Rodriguez's movies, you kind of see the same character. You can get a bit like, doing this again, are we?
It's not just the movies. I mean, I said I'm in the process of watching Lost, the TV series, and I just literally, obviously, she's in the entire season 2, and she's angry, she's aggressive, she has to be our motto, I'm the boss.
She's tough. Yeah. That is her. That is her character. It very much is her, and this is a maybe the ultimate portrayal of that, as she's downright mean at times.
Yeah.
But I really like her.
Yes,
I like Rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did laugh, though, that the level of skill involved in getting the power back onto the train, right, relies on literally, here's a plug, together. Here's a plug, together. Pull that lever. And I was like, yeah, that is very Resident Evil, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, it's more so we can get a jump scare. As she hears scrabbling around down there, we see like a ripped cage wall. And then one of the operatives does the whole reach down and, are you done yet? Jump scare kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. The train is off and running. Inside, the ops find a sealed door. And they manage to open that sealed door and an unconscious man falls out. Alice immediately recognizes this guy from her wedding photo. This is apparently the man she's married to. But he also has no memory. Alice does look at her wedding ring and sees property of Umbrella engraved inside of it, which I liked. It was a nice touch.
Yeah, very clever.
The train arrives at its destination and it's still quiet. The group are moving through this sort of area, being monitored by the computer. And they arrive at what effectively is the front door to the hive. It's here Alice demands answers from the lead operative, who is named, we never hear his name in the movie, but in the credits, he's credited as One, as in the number 1, O-N-E. And he's played by Colin Salmon, who is wonderful in this. Wonderful.
Yep.
There's a scene later on that I absolutely adored, but I'll get to it. He tells the group that they're all employees of Umbrella. The mansion above is an emergency entrance to the hive. Alice and the other man, Spence, played by James Purfoy, who also is very good in this, are security operatives tasked with protecting the entrance. The marriage is a fake, part of their cover story. Makes sense, right?
Yep.
We then meet Kaplan, one of the other operatives, played by Martin Cruz. Kaplan is my boy.
I like him, man. Yeah,
Kaplan is my boy. He doesn't get justice in this movie, but Kaplan is my boy. He shows them a computerized schematic of the hive. I love this movie when it does the schematics.
Yeah.
They look beautiful. And we get it a lot through where it will zoom in on the building and you'll see the red dots moving around. Lovely stuff.
Running up and down the stairs is really cool. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
And I love as well that the fact that the hive It's called as such because on the schematic, what does it look like? A beehive.
Oh, yeah. I'm not the underground, yeah.
Raccoon City, nearest urban center. The mansion where we found you and through which we gained access to the train, which in turn brought us to the hive. The hive itself is located underground, deep beneath the streets of Raccoon City. A top-secret research facility owned and operated by the Umbrella Corporation.
It's a massive facility under Raccoon City where classified illegal research is done. One continues to explain what happened to Alice and Spence about their memory being wiped, part of the computer system. He says it will come back after a certain period of time. Matt, who is the only one that is unknown at this stage, the cop, queries if the hive was attacked. But before they can go any further, Rain tells one that they have breached the door. They're into the hive. Inside, they find the lights are off. One of them goes in, JD, I think it is, to get some power back on. They then check the lift situation, and you see like the lift has collapsed and smashed at the bottom. What I thought was quite good. Did you notice what lift they checked?
No,
The middle one. The middle one. Do you know why that was important? They checked the middle one. Because that was the one the characters were in. So when you see it smashed at the bottom, you confirm all of them got killed.
Oh yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a clever touch.
Yeah.
So obviously they have to take the stairs to the destination. We then we hear our next bit important bit of information about the Red Queen. The Red Queen is the name given to the computer, which is in control of the hive. Yeah, there you go. They find the labs as they're moving around. They find the labs from earlier, the ones that were flooding. They are now filled to the top with water. Dirty, murky water. That's important.
Yeah.
We get more talking here as one reveals at the time period of the beginning of the film and to now, it's been 5 hours. So 5 hours is a decent chunk of time.
Yeah.
Basically, what happened is Umbrella don't know why the Red Queen went what they call homicidal. It shut the facility down, and their mission is to get in, shut the Red Queen down, and find out what happened. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed about this. What do you mean Umbrella didn't know? Surely, you would know, oh, it means we have a breach, right?
Well, I mean, as you watch the films further along, it sort of contradicts that they did know.
Oh, it does. It really does. Particularly by the end of the movie, you're like, huh? Head scratching. We get a decent scare here. A scare I actually thought was well done. As a body of a female scientist inside the glass room, one of the ones we saw earlier on, floats up against the window, scaring Matt. It's pretty creepy, sort of like in that murky water. Clever. We then get a bit of a nice scene between Spence and Alice as he gives Alice his jacket because she's cold. When their hands touch, she has a brief memory of them banging. So even if their marriage was a sham, they were still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She asks him if his memory is coming back. He says no, and for whatever reason, she decides to say no as well, even though she remembers that. I mean, I suppose you wouldn't be like, yeah, I just had this memory that we fucked. You probably wouldn't say that, would you?
No. Not a good memory to bring up.
Yeah, not at this point to what is effectively a stranger, Because that's weird, isn't it? Like, if you really put yourself in that shoes, you have no memory of this person except this brief flash where you're like, we slept together.
Yeah, I mean, if that was me, and then I could imagine it doing, oh yeah, but I remember I slept together. He's like, oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It's not awkward. It's like, okay, maybe I made it up.
Yeah. A new path to the destination is being discussed by the ops. And we get this, I love this scene. Matt is sitting on the floor. And you hear the talk of the ops in the background. And he starts to hear noises from a vent. And he's straining to hear what he thinks sounds like people moaning. And it's so distant. And you've still got, even for us, you've got the sound of the operatives talking. So even we can't quite make it out. But it's got a really creepy vibe. And you're like, okay, yeah, we're ramping up here. It's dropping in the hints that we have zombies. Mm-hmm. The group move on, and we get the next stage as the dead floating woman the camera focuses on her, and her eyes open, her hand goes up against the screen. Didn't like this. Do you know why? Why'd she wait till they left to do that?
Yeah.
Like, why, if it's a zombie, did it wait to go?
I'm going to be skeptical here and say maybe the virus hadn't took effect yet, and she only just woke up then.
I will give you that one. I think that's the best explanation we can have. Yeah.
That's all I think, yeah.
So they arrive at what they think is Dining Hall B. According to schematics, it's Dining Hall B, which I like the fact that a lot of the room names are things that you might get in Resident Evil.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not Dining Hall B. It is a room filled with massive tanks. Tanks that house things. We notice when Alice goes to look inside one, a very small window, there's some sort of sinewy, gross-looking creature attached to pipes and wires and stuff. We don't get a clear look at it, but it looks pretty gross.
I tell you what I like about this scene here was the fact that the agents, the guys who were down there, they're like, well, what's all this?
Yep, they don't know.
Not even there. I mean, it shows you how secretive Umbrella was.
Yep. Absolutely. And the fact that I don't know if this was on purpose, but I swear we get an Aliens reference here. So when Kaplan is talking about the map, and one goes to check, like he's like, this is supposed to be Dining Hall B. One says to him, well, maybe you're not reading it right, which is what Hicks and Higgins, Hicks and what's the other guy's name?
Oh crap!
Bill Paxton's character.
Yeah.
When the aliens are in the room, and he's like, they're in the room. Maybe you're not reading it right. Hudson, Hicks and Hudson, and they're doing the scanner, and it looks like the aliens are in the room with them. And Hicks says, it's reading right, and Hicks says, well, maybe you're not reading it right. And I couldn't help but go, was that an Aliens reference?
It'd be interesting to know if Paul Anderson is actually friends with Ridley Scott now.
Well, even if he isn't, it's just such a specific line that I instantly thought of Aliens and was like, maybe. But you are right about the operatives not knowing where they are. And we get this wonderful scene as by Colin Salmon. So he tells everybody to keep it tight and all that. But when Alice wanders off to look, he's suddenly next to her, and he's not looking at her. He's just looking directly into the thing. And then he just says, without looking at her, I said, keep it tight. And then he turns out to look at her. And you get that sense of power and authority from him. Yeah. You're like, oh, you are in charge for a reason. The Red Queen is watching as they arrive at her chamber. It's effectively a computer core is where they're at. But first, they have to go through a very ominous-looking corridor. We all know what happens in this scene. This is the Red Queen trying to defend herself as we lose several operatives here. One's, be honest, that I haven't even given names to because they're unimportant. They are unimportant. It is, of course, the laser grid sequence, a very famous scene from Resident Evil. It is very cool. Doesn't hold up in the gore department, I'm afraid. But fuck me, is an action-packed. So basically, when one and a group go through, the defense activates and Kaplan is trying to shut it off. This laser grid constantly comes at them in different formats to wipe them out. And each time it gets one of the operatives. First, it's a straight line, cuts one in half. Another time, it goes straight and then straight up, cutting another one in half. And one, good God, he tries. Good God, he tries. I was really sad to lose him here, but dodges it several times. And then the last grid comes towards him, and he's like that, and it turns into a massive cage, like a net. And he says the line, shit. And just as it passes through him, Kaplan turns it off. And you get this close-up shot of him kind of breaking into chunks. Got it. I love it. I love it. The music is pumping. It's energetic, and you want one to survive.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you basically that no matter what he did, you weren't surviving that.
Yeah, yeah.
She kept changing the sequences of the thing.
The defenses are strong.
Mhm.
Kaplan is obviously quite shocked. But he's like, look, we got to go through there. Spencer's all like, I ain't going fucking through there. Did you just see what happened? I love that Kaplan's like, no, her defenses are off. And Spencer's like, you said that the last time. I'm on Spencer's side, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
After you, mate. Kaplan obviously goes through, but he's joined by Alice. They do actually arrive at the core to be greeted by a hologram they're greeted by a hologram of the computer, the Red Queen. It's like a little girl, which cleverly Kaplan points out was done by the head developer of the AI. And I bought it because developers are weirdos. I could see them thinking that's a good idea. A model on his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The AI tries to convince them, saying, look, don't switch me off, do all this and all that kind of thing. Kaplan's like, look, ignore her. She's trying to save herself. You know, it is a very advanced AI. However, they probably should have listened to her.
Yeah.
But she also says that wonderful line that could only work with a British accent. And it is that wonderful line of, you're all going to die down here.
It's a great line.
It is, before they turn her off. It is a great line. Primary power is switched off, which also turns off the feeding tubes of the monsters in the cages. And obviously, what happens when power starts to get rebooted and come back on? The fail-safes are all off. The doors open. Even I was like, well, that's not good news now, is it? Subtlety, though, as we see the doors opening all over the facility. But we don't see anything beyond the shadows of shambling things coming forward. Very ominous, and it's like, yay, zombie time.
Yep.
The other group who stayed behind, Rain, Matt, and the other character we've not mentioned up to this point, the other operative, JD, played by Pascal Alerdio. They hear a noise in the cage room. Rain goes to check. She finds a scientist, and Rain makes the terrible mistake of going to help this woman. This woman bites Rain on the hand. JD comes to help and orders the woman to stop or he will shoot. He shoots her twice in the legs. She's unaffected. Rain then guns her down with the Uzi. And they kind of remark about how she took so many bullets. But Rain's like, well, she's not she's down now. The other group arrive after hearing the gunshots and they recap what happened. Matt, they go to check on the body of the woman and she's gone. Obviously, Rain is quite shocked. And Matt notices that the blood is coagulating. And why is that important, Damon?
Because it means the blood is dead blood, basically.
Yeah, exactly that. That doesn't happen unless you're dead.
Yeah.
But he also takes this opportunity to get the handcuff keys that Rain dropped in the struggle with the zombie. Before Rain can get into what Kaplan did, because Kaplan's basically like, the others aren't coming back. And Rain rightfully is like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're going to have to explain to me why four, including our commander, died. Like, you're going to have to explain that. I also suspect when Kaplan is going to get his ass kicked by Rain for fucking up the... Did he fuck up the defense system?
I don't know. I mean, was it his fault? I don't know.
Should he have expected her to have secondary defenses?
He should have, yeah. I mean, he should have. But then you got to blame Umbrella. I mean, Umbrella should have told him, oh, by the way, there could be zombies in there. There could be defenses. Be on your guard.
Yeah.
You know? But then,
before they can get into that, it's zombie time. As all the zombies of the facility come out to play. And it's a big old shootout. But of course, they're zombies. They just keep coming. One of the things I quite like about this is no one ever really understands the headshot thing. No one's ever told it, so they never try it. Later, the Red Queen will mention it, but even then, it never really comes about, which I thought was kind of cool. In all the shooting, though, they breach one of the tanks. You see them breaching one of the tanks. This is important for later. They try to make a run for it as one of the tanks blow up. Good explosion. Blows up and like zombies go flying. Everyone goes flying. It's a good fucking effect.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the effect, Alice has a memory flash of talking with one of the Umbrella people, this woman we saw in the earlier scene, who was one of the Umbrella employees. And she's talking to this woman outside about giving her the virus. So it's like, oh, is Alice a villain? All hell breaks loose as the explosion means everyone got separated, basically. Matt, in a great scene, manages to kind of, he gets out of handcuffs because the keys are behind him in a drain, but the zombie's crawling through like a little cage area and he's trying to kick off. And the zombie's on fire too, I should add that as well. And so he's trying to kick this guy off while like get himself free. I thought it was a good tense scene.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, that'd be. I mean, imagine that. You'd be terrified.
But to make it worse as well, right next to him, a caged claw smashes through, implying one of the creatures is trying to get out of the cage. Then we lose JD in what is always going to be. Whenever this scene happens in any zombie movie, I hate it. Not because it's bad, because it's just such a horrible way to go out. As he opens the main door of a lift, and what's in the lift? Zombies. A lift full of zombies, and he's just dragged into the waiting arms of them. Range.
That lift there, yeah. I actually thought that was the lift at the beginning where the woman lost her head. That's what I always thought.
Oh no, separate, yeah. Rain tries to save him and gets bitten again, twice bitten now. The only thing I don't like about this is it's played off like we should care. Like Rain's like, no, I've got to help him, and I'm like,
yeah. I mean, unless you go into details of their background, like were they together? I mean, have they been on like 30, 40 missions together or whatever? But it doesn't really explain what their relationship is.
We didn't even really get much with JD at all. So yeah, it's a good death. It's a good death though. The group fight their way out, but in another part of it, one of the beasties breaks free, and the CGI in this scene is horrendous.
Yeah.
It didn't look so bad, but it's obviously a licker. It looks like a licker.
Well, that's what I mean. I always thought it was a cross between a licker and a hunter, especially when it. Actually, I won't say what happened, but obviously.
Alice and Matt are separate to Kaplan, Rain, and Spence. The three of them are stuck in the Red Queen's core. In the Red Queen's core with no way out, whereas Alice and Matt somehow are together and then not. Did you notice that? Now,
yeah, they're walking down a corridor and then suddenly it does like a flash and he's gone.
Yeah, but I think later it kind of shows that Matt walked off on purpose.
Yeah,
but didn't tell her. Alice ends up in the kennels. There's no dogs in there, but you can see by the cages there's blood. They're smashed in and ripped apart. The dogs obviously broke out. We know what's coming here. This scene, to be honest, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it's mainly really an action scene to show Alice is not innocent or useless. The dogs turn up. They're covered. See, I love the effects, right? Because they use some real dogs and cover them in goopy, gross mess. And then they use some CGI for some parts of the dogs that are ripped or torn apart. And basically, Alice tries to run from the dog. She goes into a room, gets attacked by a zombie, jump kicks the zombie to death, takes his gun, then deals with the dogs. Thoughts on this?
It could have been a great scene, but I mean, it shows you that she's powerful, that she's skillful, but I don't get why she has to do all these like Jackie Chan fly kicks to zombies, and then she does some jump against the wall and then there's like a matrix kick to a dog. You got a gun, for Christ's sake. It would have been better if she just stood there going bang, 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 bang.
Well,
that would have been better.
You did, didn't it? But this was the dog I think this dog was too far. I mean, whatever the reason, I think the point is because at the end of it, she seems shocked by what she just did, as if her fighting skills were instinctual. Like it was her instinct, it was a fight or flight moment, and she fought, and she's a bit like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Matt has ended up in the office part of the facility. And basically, he's looking for something. A desk that has the ID of the woman from the start of the movie called Lisa. The same woman who Alice was talking to in her flashback about giving the virus outside. Behind him, this woman approaches as a zombie. She looks pretty good as a zombie. She attacks Matt, but he's saved by Alice. And again, Alice remembers meeting a woman, but this time we get a bit more detail as Alice demands a price for the virus. Again, it's like, is she a villain? She wants to sell this virus or stuff like that. Matt then reveals that this woman, Alice, was his sister. And that they're part of like a group trying to bring Umbrella down. He's not a cop, hence why I was doing that earlier on.
Yep.
They want to bring Umbrella down. His sister was planning had gone undercover and planned to smuggle out a sample of the virus. She apparently had a contact, someone Matt never met, who was going to help. Who is this person, I wonder? Alice suspects and knows that it was herself, but doesn't know why or how yet. So she plays dumb. She doesn't let on to Matt that she knows anything. But we also finally get the name of the virus. And it is, of course, the T virus.
Tell you what though, his sister, yeah, okay. Every time I saw it, she always reminds me of the nurse from Silent Hill.
Yeah.
The way she looks, the way she moves, always reminds me of that.
Oh, interesting. I can see what you mean by looks-wise, yeah. But somehow Matt and Alice, right? Somehow Matt and Alice get to the others through another door.
Yeah, that bit, it doesn't make any sense because it just shows them running. And
through the door and saying, close it quickly, we're being grabbed by a couple of zombies before they close it. And what annoyed me about that is, okay, Alice and Matt led the zombies there, so they can't use that door to leave anymore. But why didn't the others already leave by that door?
Yeah, exactly.
And now we get the reveal. Remember that timer at the start of the door? We now get the reveal of what that timer is. Effectively, it's a clock. It's a clock that when that timer runs out, the blast doors they came through will shut permanently. That's what they say. Very important, this. Shut permanently, right? Then please explain to me what on earth happens at the end, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I will admit the movie is slowing down now, isn't it? Like it's beginning to grind to a halt. You're a bit like, okay, we need to do something.
I mean, it also proves that shut permanently thing. It also shows you how devious Umbrella is, because obviously they were lied to again.
Of course.
Yeah.
Alice comes up with the idea of turning the Red Queen back on to find a way to leave. The Red Queen then tells them everything about what the T-virus does, because she's a chatty computer. And while she's talking, though, we do focus in on JD's body, as she says about the reanimating of dead cells and so on, and a base hunger, that all they want to do is eat. Classic zombie. JD's eyes open up. She also tells them why she shut the hive down when the virus was first unleashed. And she also reveals that Rain is infected, having been bitten twice, and that she will not let them leave because the virus cannot escape. I know they try to make the Red Queen sinister, but I am on the Red Queen's side. No, Rain shouldn't be allowed to leave. No, the infection must be contained.
100%.
Whatever it takes, right?
Exactly. I mean, if it means them all dying, I'm sorry, but you've all got to die.
Exactly that. The greater good. Abso-fucking-lutely. The Red Queen does show them a path into the utility tunnels under the threat. And the idea is that they've created this, they bypassed the circuit so that if they push this button, something Kaplan has, they'll be able to fry the Red Queen completely. Which is what the Red Queen asks about. You know, you've done that. Why have you done that? And they're like, well, basically, if you don't help us, we're going to destroy you. I don't like the idea of a computer being so self-aware, it has self-preservation. I think it's a bit too much.
I mean, in every film you watch with like advanced AI, they don't care about themselves
I
surviving.
don't believe Umbrella would have created a computer that would have self-preservation, would want to
No.
save its own life. That's a bit weird.
No.
So in the utility tunnels, they get attacked by zombies, of course. And everyone gets, well, not everyone, but a lot of people get bitten here. Kaplan is bitten. Rain is bitten a third time, this time by JD, but this time on the neck. And they climb the pipes to escape the zombies. So the zombies are there, they're on the pipes above. I actually really love this next scene. And it's the scene of a bloodied Rain letting her hand drip over the hordes of zombies trying to get her. It's quite a harrowing scene. They're all, the actors of the zombies are doing a job, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They look desperate to get to her. And her attitude of just like, yeah, you like that blood, don't you? It's great stuff. So they use the pipes basically to crawl out of reach of the zombies until they reach a possible exit, a sort of cage tunnel area. Unfortunately, the weight of everyone causes the pipe struts to come out of the roof, trapping Alice and Kaplan on the wrong side. While they collapse, she manages to sort of jump into the hands of Matt and Spence, and they pull her up. But Kaplan falls into the bunch of zombies. And I was like, no, I like Kaplan. He fights off some of the zombies. Rain, we get more development of Rain's issues. She's trying to help to shoot some of them, but she can't see. Her vision is going. So Alice takes the gun and uses it instead. Kaplan is trapped though. He crawls up, he continues to crawl up the broken bit of pipe. His legs hurt, and he's got no way to get to them. He checks his bullets, and he has one bullet left. So, of course, he tells the others to go. There are too many zombies. He can't get to them. His leg is fucked. It's pretty obvious he's planning to use that one bullet to shoot himself, particularly as we see the zombies begin to climb up the broken bit of pipe towards him. I like his character. He puts the gun in his mouth, and we switch to Alice hearing a gunshot. Then the movie does possibly the dumbest thing it could possibly do. And I do not get this. I do not understand why they do this. We immediately cut back to Kaplan, having used that one bullet to kill the nearest zombie that was near him.
There was no point of doing the whole suspense moment. They should have left it at least 10 minutes. I mean, maybe even the characters going, like, them all showing a sign of distress. But yeah,
What I'd have done,
what's that?
I would not have cut back until later on when Kaplan comes to save them.
Yeah,
And he's alive then.
There you go. Because it would have been like the shock of like.
Because we would have been like, well, how did he get out of that situation? Right? We would have said that. We'd have criticized that. Except, regardless, we're still going to criticize it, because how does he even get out of this current situation? So at least we would have had the impact of, oh, he survived. Woo! Yeah, you know? Exactly. Absurd. But we do get a good line from him here, as he turns to him and says, "You're going to have to work for your meal," and starts to pull himself up. My thought process is he crawled along the back along the pipes until he found a way out. Yeah. The only issue is, as we see in a bit, the liquor is in the tunnels. How did he avoid the liquor?
Well, yeah, I mean, the amount of blood who's leaking, it would have smelt it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they should have waited to show that he'd lived. It would have had a bit more impact. It would have been dumb, but it's dumb anyway. Alice, Spence, and Matt, and let's be honest, a near-dead Rain. She is fucked up. Like, she really is.
I mean, it's good effects too, because she actually looks like, you can see her skin's like all clammy and stuff like that.
Wetty, pale. She looks the part. Michelle Rodriguez is doing a wonderful job of looking fucked.
Yeah.
And they find themselves in the earlier part of the facility. And as I said, you see the liquor is following them. Alice then begins to remember more details. Her memory starts to come back full. And we get this wicked transition as she's in a lab area. And in real time, it begins to fade to when she was there previously. And she saw, when she was there previously, she must have been standing, watching them synthesize a cure by testing the T-virus on a rabbit and then injecting it with a cure. So remember, we had two separate tubes, a blue and a green. Green is cure, blue is virus. So she realizes the cure is here. So she goes into the room. It's knee-deep water. And she gets more memory stuff. It's knee-deep water, and she starts to get more of her memory back. So she tells Matt that she was her sister's contact, but she was going to steal the virus to help them take Umbrella down.
I'll tell you what, that whole scene there, I never understood the whole scene. Because, I mean, I know why they did it, because obviously they had to get her into the movie. But surely her and Spence, their job was to protect the mansion, protect the entrance. So why were they even in the hive? If they're both in the hive, who the hell's protecting the mansion?
I agree. How and why should have been in the hive, particularly in that part of it, is very, very questionable. You'd argue should know nothing about it.
Exactly.
I think, her role in this movie and what her role at Umbrella was is very much glossed over, I'm afraid. And you are right. There's no real fair explanation as to why she suddenly decided to betray Umbrella. There isn't. That's it. There is never, sadly. Matt obviously is pissed off, and he accuses her of being the cause of all this, but Alice doesn't remember that part of things. Doesn't matter though. All the stuff's gone, because obviously she's in the room that the guy at the start took the stuff, had zipped up in the duffel bag and things like that. As we now get the reveal, as Spence goes through, Spence's memory comes back in one big hit. Love James Purfoy's acting here, didn't you? He sort of stands there and it's like, he does a head shake, but his eyes are dashing, his arm twitches, as like everything. And like, think about this. Think about what you might be feeling. In a sudden moment, you get all this memory, and you're a villain.
Yeah.
You're a bad guy.
He does it well, though. I mean, he goes from being a nice guy to suddenly a dickhead. Proper,
because that's exactly who he is.
Yeah.
So Spence was aware of Alice's plan. He listened in using a device to her conversation with Matt's sister. But it implied to me that Spence may have loved Alice or loves Alice enough that he thought he could help her by taking Umbrella down. Hence, today all your dreams come true. His plan was villainous. To release the virus inside the hive, destroying it, and then taking the other parts, selling it on the black market, getting rich, and him and Alice living rich life somewhere else. It's decent, if not predictable. Right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And with his memory back, as you already said, he doesn't try to pretend. Oh. He's just like, fuck this, I'm a villain, grabs the gun and holds. He tries at first to sort of talk Alice into joining him, but her memory is back now as well. They basically are both back to what they once were. I have no problem with these sudden memory returns, because that's what they said would happen. So I have no problem with it.
It happens in real life, you know. People have flashes and then suddenly bam, you know.
Sometimes we call it deja vu.
Yeah.
And guess where the antivirus and the T-virus are? On the fucking train where Spence was all along. Because of course he had tried to escape. Now I know what you're going to say, because it was a bit of an issue for me too. But obviously he got to the train and then got knocked out, and that's where he lost his memory. What are you going to say?
I'm going to say now, these big top special agent guys who are highly trained, didn't think, hang on, this guy's got a big black bag. I'm going to open it up. It could be a fucking rocket launcher. It could be a bloody whatever in there. It could be a bag full of cash. But no, instead of what, do you know what? You can come with us. We'll leave your bag right there. It's like, seriously, come on, guys, man. At least make it out like they didn't see the bag. The bag was hidden.
Exactly that.
I know.
The surprise of Spence quickly passes, then they're just in the train. And no one thinks, A, to check that room, which is what they were trying to get in to begin with. But then also, one didn't say, check what's in that bag. Why is that bag there?
The only thing I could say maybe, I mean, they could have even played dumb. They could have actually opened a bag, and these guys have got no idea what the virus is, what it is. And they could go, okay, well, it's 2 vials. We're going to leave it on the train because we have no idea what that is.
Well, if they want to play dumb, they weren't able to open the box because it's in the box, isn't it?
Exactly, so sealed.
No, I agree. It was a problem for me, and the fact that you got there first, and the fact that I'm laughing, we both noticed it. But while he's talking, we get a wonderful shot of a waterlogged zombie, which quietly waited waiter, did you notice?
Yeah.
To then rise out of the water. The shot's good of her rising up out of the water. I like it. But why on earth it was just quietly under the water, I don't know.
Yeah, that to me, again, it makes no sense. It was just for the scene, but I mean, because as soon as Alice walked in, it would have tried to grab her legs.
Yeah.
Or it would have come up straight away. It's a zombie.
Yeah, yeah. But it bites Spence on the neck. In the melee, Spence kills the zombie, and Matt and Alice are useless because Spence continues to control the environment. He's fighting a fucking zombie. He still manages to kill the zombie and then train the gun back on them. But now he's a bit more. He's got a bit more speed about him. He realizes he's been bitten and he needs the antivirus, so he stops fucking around. He literally walks out and locks them in the door. However, we hear the Red Queen. Red Queen. I don't know. I don't like this. This is the computer being. This is where it gets a bit silly. You know, I already had the thing about the computer having self-preservation, but the I've been a very bad girl part. I didn't like. It was like, oh, this is getting silly.
I mean, I know the programmer, obviously. I mean, I don't even think that he gave all his daughter's traits. You know, but then why would Umbrella even approve that? I know he's a top scientist, but there's people above him. Why would they even go, yeah, do you know what? We're going to have your 6-year-old daughter be the entire charge of this with intelligence.
Yeah, the I've been a very bad girl part really weirded me out. And basically what she means is she set the liquor on Spence. He arrives back at the train to take the antivirus. The liquor arrives and kills Spence. Now, this is weird. When Spence sees the liquor, the CGI is actually quite good when it's sort of stretching its tongue down. I didn't mind it. But when Alice sees the liquor killing Spencer on the monitor, the CGI is horrendous.
Yeah.
Like even Spencer, who they've CGI'd, he looks like a sock puppet.
Yeah.
So yeah, Spencer's dead. But we also then see that the liquor, having had fresh DNA, mutates into a more dog-like creature.
This is why I said I mean I compare it to a liquor/hunter because it sort of evolves into like a hunter style. I mean, or whatever the hell it evolves into. I mean, what I didn't understand about the scene too is that why would the Red Queen send on Spencer for? Now he'd just been bitten, unless she knew that the cure wasn't fully active. That's the only thing I can think of because. Surely because he only just been bitten, he would have been cured.
The only thing I can think of is that the Red Queen doesn't plan to let any of them out alive. Any of them. But, you know, because it's smart, it's playing along. Like, oh, I'll help you kill Spence. And as we then see, it insists, I'll let you out of the room. You're locked in, but you must kill Rain. And Rain agrees. She's like, drops to her knees, tells Alice to kill her. Don't love the fact that the Red Queen is sounding super bloodthirsty. Kill her now, kill her, you know. And Alice holds the axe up, but then she swings it and smashes the computer screen, which seems to imply because everything just shuts off. And I was a bit like, how did smashing that monitor fry the Queen? You know? Particularly as well during this period, the liquor is now on the other side of a window, smashing it through. So like, the idea is to build up the tension and stuff like that. The door opens, and who's standing there? It's Kaplan, who used the button to fry the Red Queen and open the door from the outside. That's perfectly fine. See what I said earlier on? Imagine how much it would have been a surprise.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Particularly if they showed what I would have done to make it even better, that he'd been bitten a couple more times.
Yeah.
So, like, he hadn't got out alive, because he's already been bitten once, so he's already fucked.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done a brief little flashback of how he got there. Maybe like a minute or so of him crawling through the drains. He got bitten a few times, and then he made his way to the door.
But imagine the impact we would have had if we hadn't seen the fact that he didn't shoot himself.
Oh, yeah, of course. It would have been a shock.
Yeah. I do like his reaction to seeing the liquor too, which is basically, what the fuck is that? Yeah. The group arrive at the train. Spencer's body is there. It's pretty messed up. And as Alice goes to get the case with the virus and the antivirus, he reanimates and tries to get her. I do like James Purfoy's acting here as the zombie. It's quite
really good.
sinister. Quite sinister. But she chops off his head with a horrible, pithy line. Didn't like it. But she kills him and then leaves a wedding ring as Kaplan gets the train moving. They manage to give Rain the antivirus, but it looks like it's too late as she dies. But it's a fake out and she's not dead yet. Why do that?
I don't get why. I mean, you can say maybe, she lost consciousness, but it was too quick to be in and out.
Fake out. Why even do it, But the liquor also isn't done yet. It claws through the side of the train, cutting Matt's arm. Kaplan is killed abruptly. And I before, as it breaks through the front door, I got so angry with the film here.
Yeah.
Now, thing is, I get it. You can't have Kaplan survive. You can't. You cannot have him survive. Completely get it.
He could have. He could have been killed by the agents right at the end.
Okay, you know what? Fine. I actually like that. The agents come in and shoot him dead.
Bang.
Yep. I like it. It would put more power to that moment. Yep, actually agree with you. That would have been times better. But to have Kaplan just go out like a chump here, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Fuck you, film. I mean,
I would have preferred, if he had killed the liquor, then got killed at the end.
I'm down with it. I like your thinking. Yours is, definitely. But Matt and Alice combine forces to kill it. I do actually like this scene. The pipes, the running the pipes into it, the stabbing it. She stabs through its tongue to keep it in place while Matt opens up the bottom floor. So it drops through and then effectively its body is running against the rails. The only thing I didn't like is that apparently it goes on fire.
Yeah.
Which was weird. I was like, no, just have it like explode into mush.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But during this scene as well, it's tense because Matt also has to fight off a zombified Rain to show that the antivirus did not work. Now that doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's useless, because the Red Queen did say earlier on that Rain was perhaps too far along for it to work, hence why she couldn't take the risk of Rain getting out. But Matt does kill her as well. The final two, Alice and Matt, arrive back at the mansion, and we see the blast doors going down. It was quite close as well. There was only like 10 seconds left.
Yep.
As they arrive into the mansion, Matt tries to talk to Alice, but he's suffering a lot of pain in his arm. It seems that he's infected now. And things are about to get as exciting as they did at the start. This movie's got a great beginning and a great ending. As Alice starts giving the antivirus, Umbrella bursts in. Agents of Umbrella, white-suited Umbrella. They've clearly been waiting, because they've already set up isolation tents outside the door, hence why it's so bright and white. They grab Alice, grab Matt, tie Matt down to a gurney, and say, we want to use him in the Nemesis program. And younger me in 2002 went, oh my God, they're just going to use Nemesis. We'll cover it when we get to that film. But holy fucking shit. One of the biggest disappointment of the franchise overall is what they do with the Nemesis. Don't get me started on that shit. However, at this time, it's like, and you actually see Matt's arm, things start to grow out of it.
Yeah, so it sort of tells that even if she had given the cure, it wouldn't have worked. He's already turning.
I think it wouldn't have worked, agreed. But also, I love the fact that it's not a very happy ending for our character again.
Oh, no. It's a bad ending.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very exciting, very exciting. But, you know, just when you do see the next film, because the next film, Apocalypse, is one of the worst in my opinion.
Yeah. It's got good points, but it's got terrible points. It's got, yeah.
Alice tries to fight off some of these people, but they obviously get the better of her. And we hear a scientist talking about taking Alice to the Raccoon City facility. And then, this is where we come back to the part about the blast doors sealing permanently. We hear this man, Jason Isaacs, saying, we're reopening the hive. I thought when those doors closed permanently.
Yep.
Okay. I guess you can just open them again.
Well, I mean, judging by the end scene, it shows you that Umbrella had sort of planned for the Nemesis program to start.
Yep.
The fact that they were waiting there, they were hoping. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they were actually watching on the monitors what was happening, and they were waiting for someone to get infected. They were the ones who were controlling the Red Queen. They're the ones who sent the liquor to kill Spencer. It wouldn't surprise me because obviously the agents who went in had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, they were clearly, sent. They might have been sent to. They were sent to disable the Red Queen, but everything else what Umbrella had plans for. Sometime later, Alice wakes up in a hospital bed, attached to a lot of painful-looking jabby things. This scene looks painful, doesn't it?
Yeah, bloody
She has
does,
to
yeah.
rip them out of her head and stuff.
Yeah.
Mila Jovovich sells that shit well. And
Really
the fact that they also shave part of her head, like she committed to the character. Yeah. She's obviously been there a while as well because she has trouble walking at first. Did you notice that? But as she recovers, she wanders the halls of what looks like an Umbrella hospital. But there's no one there. Deserted. She makes her way outside to discover Raccoon City is in a bit of bother. We get a flash over a newspaper that says The Dead Walk written as its headline, which if you know is, of course, a Day of the Dead reference.
Yep.
The movie ends with Alice reaching into a police car, Raccoon City police car, pulling out a shotgun and cocking it. The movie pans out to show Raccoon City in chaos. And that's where we end. How exciting is that as an end? You're like, oh my God, we're going to get the next movie is going to be Resident Evil 2. Can't wait for that.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, that film there, to me, Resident Evil 1 was Resident Evil 1 and 2 together. And then Apocalypse is Resident Evil 2 and 3 together.
It's hard because Apocalypse goes in such a different direction. And where we end up going, it's really hard. I mean, I feel like because we won't focus on it too much. We'll talk about when we do, but I think Resident Evil Apocalypse certainly focuses on Resident Evil 3 more. The game Resident Evil 3, because obviously it has the likes of Carlos and Nikolai, the Nemesis and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, I'm only referring because obviously the first, because obviously you got the tram was a part of number 2. You know, and
it's definitely taken a lot of elements, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, Resident Evil, this 2002 film, is a good film. I think anyone who says it's, I think you're wrong if you say it's a bad film, and you might be looking at the franchises overall. I think at times it's got some very exciting sequences. The start of the movie, the laser sequence, the bit in the tunnels with the pipes, the end part. These are all great sequences. It's quality acting throughout. Top draw stuff. It's got gore. It is a horror movie as much as it is an action movie, whereas later I feel it's an action movie rather than a horror movie.
Yeah,
you know what
definitely.
I mean? And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've seen this movie quite a bit, actually, quite a few times.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to going into the franchise further. But yeah, for this rewatch, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I mean, the only thing that I suppose I know they couldn't do it was I would have liked to see maybe a tyrant, but then I guess maybe the liquor was sort of the tyrant. You know,
How many of the sequels have you seen?
I've seen them all.
Okay, we do get tyrants later.
Yeah,
still.
later down, but I mean for the first one.
You are right. You're all right. But I also didn't. I also like the idea, right? Because it's not the first film series to do this. To take a minor villain and make him the big. You know what I mean? Like the idea of turning the liquor and making it bigger. Because I guess the idea was, oh, then when we bring in tyrants and stuff, because ultimately the tyrant is your own boss. So we use him now. What have you got later on? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't actually mind the idea because a liquor is a terrifying creature. And it's a better choice than, say, a hunter. Because if you think about a hunter from the Resident Evil game, it doesn't look great. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look great. Whereas a liquor with the exposed brain, the long tongue, like that's a cool looking creature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I think as a starting point for this franchise, it was a good place to, it was a good one to begin with, and it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
There you go. We liked it. Let us know what you think of it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl as well as Big Cartel where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?